a surprise because we told you this was happening last week. But after years of supporting MAGA, Tucker Carlson is having a very public split with you-know-who, which continued this weekend in an interview with the New York Times. Take a look.
Trump engenders cowardice in the people around him through intimidation. And there is a kind of quality that he has that's spellbinding. And I think it probably literally is a spell. And the effect is to weaken people around him and make them more compliant and more confused. And I've experienced this myself. You spend a day with Trump and sort of like you're in this kind of dreamland.
You've been talking on your show about whether Trump is the Antichrist.
I have not said that. Here's a leader who's mocking the gods of his ancestors, mocking the God of gods, and exalting himself above them. Could this be the Antichrist? I don't know where that comes from, but I know that those words never left my lips.
This is the problem. More like Trump. I mean, this is what happens. You say there is video everywhere of everything. Yeah. Anything you've said ever is on video. So you always have to ask it like a question. I don't remember saying that. Did I say that? You can't say I never said that because then they go,
He said it so dead. He's like, I didn't say that. Yes, you did, boo.
Yes, you did.
Shout out to Lulu Garcia Navarro, who's such a good interviewer. If you have 90 minutes, it's actually worth watching because she probes him the way only a journalist can. She's not showing her opinion. She's incredibly objective, and she has receipts on everything. And my thing with Tucker in this, there's a lot, but there's a lot. He basically says it took the war in Iran and then that Easter post that was like the AI image of Trump as Jesus, that was the final straw for him. And I'm just trying to understand, he's been consistent on opposing involvement in the Middle East. I'll give him that. But it was really that. It was the Easter Jesus. It wasn't years of things over the last decade.
It wasn't like the racism and the misogyny
why would it be the racism?
And the xenophobia. It wasn't any of that. Tucker Carlson got paid $20 million a year to basically lie to the American people. The judge found that he was a liar, that he wasn't a real journalist, that he was basically an entertainer, and he sold his soul for those $20 million. That's very clear to me. And he says during this interview, and I think I'm right, Alyssa, because I watched it as well, that he supported him for 10 years and he would do it again.
Yeah, he kind of implies he'd do it again.
Yeah, he would do it again.
Find keeping up with Tucker Carlson's conversions very exhausting.
Yes.
Because he is a very different person than the person who was on CNN's Crossfire years ago, and a very different person from the guy who was on Fox News, and a very different person now from the guy who he was 5 minutes ago. So I just don't have the 90 minutes to see which Tucker Carlson is going to show up, because it's like that song, will the real Slim Shady please? I mean, it's like, which of his shady personas is gonna show up? But what I do care about are the normal people. And listen, and Tucker Carlson has great influence and a ton of followers, millions of followers, so I'm not disputing that. But I can tell you, I live in South Florida. It's a little enclave that was incredibly supportive of Trump.
Yeah.
Girl, every Uber I'm getting into lately, the Uber drivers that used to think he was Macho Man now think he's insane.
Really?
And
Tucker or Trump, because you could go either way.
The Uber drivers think that Trump is insane. No, I don't think. I'm not sure.
So you've seen
I have seen it amongst my circle of friends. I've seen it amongst the people that I come into daily contact with, who used to be red hat wearing, flag waving, MAGA.
A loss of support.
I've seen it.
When you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Yes. And that's Tucker Carlson for me.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
And the most glaring thing in this interview was at one point he talked about the war in Iran and how Donald Trump was merely a puppet that Netanyahu was pulling, and he was able to be manipulated. One thing we've never seen is Donald Trump being able to be manipulated or told to do anything. In fact, he chooses the opposite on principle. But what we have seen, and we warned everyone around, was he has a God complex, and he has only I can solve this problem that every president before me has seen open and clearly. Tucker doesn't want to admit that part because he fell for it. He fell for all of it.
It's easier for Tucker to use anti-Semitic tropes and to say basically the Israelis controlled everything than to admit you supported a man who didn't have the wherewithal to make his own decisions as president of the United States.
I think that Trump can be used by other people. I don't think he's sophisticated.
I don't.
I think it's a cop-out
When it
to
comes to
blame.
war, I think he saw what he did in Venezuela anywhere without any regard to.
But he was manipulated into the Venezuela thing. They started showing him the videos of Maduro making fun of him.
Who though? Because do you think Pete
Marco
Hegseth?
Rubio.
Well, Pete Hegseth will tell him whatever he wants
Pete
to hear.
Hegseth is an idiot.
It's
Marco
more-
Rubio is not.
It's
and
more
knows how to push his
confirmation
buttons.
bias, though. It's that Trump does what he wants to do.
Right.
He finds the people who will tell him what he wants to hear.
Well, I